Okay, the purpose of this is to do a demo, a complete demo of the RigUp platform. And we want to show all of the functionality here in as much detail as possible. So to start off with, to set the stage, capital management is the RigUp product line that brings together all of RigUp solutions in a single place. So the main purpose here, yes, RigUp brings together all of the solutions in a single place. So from vendor sourcing and compliance, RFQs and contract management, and spend aggregation with subcontracting to ticketing and invoice processing, RigUp capital management can provide you all the capability you need to deliver projects on time and under budget. All of these services are delivered to you by a team of specialists through the capital management program. So we call this service as a software. The capital management platform is both self-directed in a lot of ways. It lets you do a lot of stuff yourself, but also a fully managed service for project execution. It creates this unbroken chain of data for every dollar spent to enable maximum transparency and efficiency. Rather than staffing up a team of dozens of people across siloed functions, what RigUp enables you to do is it augments your team with our services and tools to maximize your impact and your efficiency. So I want to walk you through the platform here in detail, make sure we cover everything so that's very easy for you to understand what it is that we're doing. So there's numerous different functions you can see over on the right-hand side. And essentially what we've got here is dashboard, projects, bid management, my vendors, invoicing, and reporting. So the goal of the RigUp capital management platform is to enable project delivery, right? So we want to be able to take every dollar from the first moment that it's quoted to you by a vendor all the way to the time that they have invoiced you and deliver a cohesive single view of that dollar, how it was spent, how efficiently it was used, so that you have full transparency into that. It enables you to track forecasts, budgets much more easily inside of projects to make sure that all of your money is going exactly where you think it is. So we'll start with this. So what I think is probably the foundation of we'll just kind of work from the beginning here, and we'll start with the concept of a project. So a project in our platform is essentially a budget that needs to be managed. It's a capital expense that's going to happen, right? And so here we've got some workovers that have been set up. We've got maybe a P&A. We've got lease ops, just like a general budget that's going to be running for a while. And then we've got a drilling and completions project going on here. So I'm going to just click into this drilling and completions project. This is going to look familiar to a lot of you, but essentially what we've got here is an AFE. And the AFE is showing you you'll be familiar. There's just an AFE tree with a bunch of different categories of spend in here, some line items, and then budgets, forecasts, some pending spend, so the stuff that's been ticketed, and the actuals that have been invoiced. So the question you're probably asking is like, how do we get all of this stuff built in here? So you can either add stuff in here, ad hoc, one at a time, or just send an AFE to our team. So setting up a project is super easy. This is where we say, this could be self-service. You can go in and just kind of create a bunch of just sort of fill out some standard fields here to create the project. Once you've done that, you've got a simple view here of a project. And so let's just add an expense. I've already put one in here. We'll add another one. Maybe we'll call this one, chemicals here. So chemicals, we'll call it a per unit. We'll call it $2 a gallon, and we'll call it 100,000 gallons. at $2 a gallon, and we'll say completions phase. It can be tangible, and give it a cost code here. We've got work approvals turned on. So all work approvals mean is when somebody submits an invoice, somebody on the other side needs to stamp that and essentially approve that for expense. So to be paid. So we'll go in and create this expense, add this here. Oops, why is this not adding? Oh, frac equipment, need to add a category there. And we'll go ahead and add that in. So let's go here and look at our spends. So now we've added a little bit more to this budget. So we got $200,000 worth of chemicals. We got a blender. And so our completions budget here is starting to get fleshed out as we start to build out some tangible stuff related to this expense. So it's very easy for us to go in and build these out. But of course, again, this is a service that we're delivering. So if you just say, hey, here's a spreadsheet, here's my budget for a project, here's a couple of projects, I need to just get them built out, makes it very easy for your team to, for us to be able to do this. We use our own tools to deliver the service to you. So you'll see all this stuff come up in here. But you can see, you can build out as simple or as complex of a budget as you want. So just for an example, I'll jump over here to lease ops. Lease ops, pretty simple. We've got some maintenance stuff, some labor here, some environmental and safety expenses, some water hauling. So simple budget, not super big. And then, we just expect people to be able to submit against this budget for the next, call it 12 months or something on this particular lease. So easy way for folks to get in here and manage expenses related to areas that they're responsible for. Now, with any of these expenses, right, you need to be able to link a vendor to this expense so that we need to know who is going to be submitting invoices against these particular line items. So to do that, we need to be able to link vendors to it. So I'll just briefly show you here. Let me go to our demo well. Let me go to this blender category and let me hit this link vendor button. So here I've got we'll just do a vendor that I know we've gotten here, Alpha Logistics. So we'll say next. We're going to say he's subcontracted. Write up a little scope description, blender rental. This is the services, equipment rentals, right? So let's do Colorado as our state here. Yes, no, don't worry about those. And so now what we can say is, hey, I want this vendor to be submitting specifically for this category, or hey, let's just say they can submit to anything in completions, anything in frac equipment, or the entire project. They could just submit to the project itself, and I will go through on the back end and figure it out. In this case, I know I only want them submitting to the specific category that we've got here. So I'm just saying, hey, I only want them submitting to blenders. And then we're going to go and look at pricing. So to get pricing from this vendor, I can either say, hey, I don't care about it right now, or I can say, hey, we need to get pricing. We can upload pricing that they might have given us when we are ahead of time, or I can just say, don't worry about it, and we'll add that vendor to this particular category. So now when this vendor logs into their account, they will see that they can submit invoices against this blender category. So it makes it very easy for the vendors to get it right on their end. Very easy to see that they're doing things correctly. So where did we get that vendor from? Maybe let's jump over from the project side and look at the vendor list. So we have a vendor list. You can see this Alpha Logistics, who I just engaged with here, that they're right here on this list. So I've got this whole list of vendors. This is everyone that I could potentially work with. I'll even switch views here so you can sort of see I got 61 vendors on my AVL. You can see the little badges here on top, the blue direct. That means that the MSA is with you, the operator, as opposed to me, your subcontractor. The Here I can see the green one, subcontractor. This means they're going to work through me. They're going to work on the MSA that I have with them. Let's go look at this Alpha Logistics card here. So when I click in, this is not just a vendor list. This is actually a rich set of information around this particular company. So in this case, I've got their COIs. I've got a safety program that they've been verified to have. And then we've got some services that they're contracted to provide, service areas that they're willing to work in, they're contracted to work in. So we've captured a bunch of information here, contact information, headquarters, business classifications, all that great stuff that makes it really easy for you to manage these vendors. When I go in, you can see I've got a bunch of work orders that have been cut here. So in this case, you can see that this new project that they've been added to is looking for, we're waiting to get a work order cut for this project. Since they are on our books, they're a subcontractor of ours. They would need a work order from us, which we'll cut. We've requested pricing from them. So as soon as we get that, we can create a work order for them. But you can see here, they've also got some standard terms that they can work under. So in this case, they have for the fluid hauling service, they've got the pricing that they've given us previously, and then each project that they have been linked to, there is separate pricing that can be generated. So in this case, it's the same for each of these. However, if they had different negotiated rates for each for a particular project, that would show up here on that specific as a reflection of that specific work order for that specific project. So this is, we will go through and onboard all of your vendors. We want you to see everyone that you have available to work with. This should be a comprehensive view of your vendor list, so that everyone has transparency on who to use for what, who's qualified to go and provide the type of work that you are asking them to do, as well as, who has, the stats, who might have particular kind of safety stats that might cause concern that we're worried about bringing on location. So super easy tool to use for this type of for managing your vendor list. Now, the other way that you can get a vendor is maybe these are, of course, all vendors that you have an existing relationship with. But of course, there's going to be vendors that you engage with that you don't have a relationship with, that you need to get some new pricing from or get on location. And so for that, we've got what we call bid management. This is a way to quickly create and run RFQs. So very simple. You just click in here, select a specific project, or just say, hey, maybe I'm running an RFI. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go get this pricing from somewhere. RFQ name, we just need to give it a quick name, pick some basic information around this, set it up. And then once you've done that, and I'll just show you one that's been completed here. So you'll be prompted to add questions that are related to the type of work, the scope of what needs to be done, and then you get to define what you want pricing for. So you can say, hey, I want you to give me a per day pricing for a very specific set of line items, or say, hey, give me your all-in price for something, kind of whatever you deem to be the best way to go and get pricing from a particular vendor. So the benefit for you is that once all those bids come in, you are going to see all of those bids in a standardized format here. So it makes it very easy to compare like for like and make the right decision for your company. We will work with you to go and source these companies. So if you say, hey, I've got one or two, or maybe none, I've got no vendors for this, but I want to go find a rental provider in a particular location, we have a supply chain team that will partner with you to go and source those vendors, make sure that you've got the right people for the job that you've got coming up. And so it's a great resource to be able to use. Again, we want to deliver our services to you through a platform that provides transparency and data and all the good stuff that you need to be able to manage projects efficiently. Once you make a decision, the messages can go out. It's all, it's all very easy to manage through the platform. You can message folks inside the platform. You can manage the history, you can check that messaging history, so you can kind of see all the conversations that you've had previously with these vendors. So lots of kind of good tools here to run quick RFQs. We want to really empower engineering teams and folks like that to be able to use the platform rather than kind of siloing it away, these functions away where people are having to, wait days and weeks for stuff to get done. If somebody says, "Hey, I've got a need to run a new vendor or find a new vendor," then they can spin up an RFQ in a few minutes and get our team working on sourcing a new supplier for them. So, okay, so we've covered where do vendors come. We've set up a project. We've got some expenses that have been added to it. We have a vendor list. We've linked some vendors to those particular projects. So when you link those vendors to a particular line item, you will see that for this linked vendor, Bates Drilling has provided us a unit price that they expect to deliver this service at. That becomes the forecast, right? So I budgeted a particular amount. The forecast is coming from the amount that they quote, right? And so if they say, "Hey, this is what I'm going to charge you," that's where the forecasted amount is going to be coming from. So again, it makes it really easy for you to identify where there might be overcharges or discrepancies. In this case, obviously, I have a perfect AFE, no discrepancies. But all that to say, you have it gives you control to be able to see where your budget's trending and to understand like where do you need to keep an eye on things so that they don't get out of hand. The let's take a look at a few other functions here. So the vendor list here, I can just click on this vendor list, see all of the vendors that have been linked to this so far. So I've got a nice little and you can see exactly where they've been linked. So you can see that they've been linked to casing and wellhead, a few of the different ones that they've been linked to. So where they've been rentals have been linked. So a lot of great stuff here for you to be able to see. One of the things that you can do is edit the spend allocation, and so you can say, "Hey, I need to go in and kind of review where they've been linked." So lots of functionality here. More importantly, once the project kicks off, you are going to be once you kick off the project, you're going to start receiving documents, right? So the first thing that you're going to start receiving on these projects is work approvals. So these are going to be invoices that come in that need somebody to approve the work that's listed on there. So these have been set up ahead of time. This is not a requirement, but this is essentially us saying like, "Hey, you need to approve the work for this disposal service." You can make edits here as needed. So if somebody gets it wrong, but this is essentially the way for you to say, "Hey, I feel like this is good." You can see their approval history here, any additional details. And that then is the trigger for our team to then to then pay this particular invoice. Invoices are going to come in. None of these projects have. Bear with me, AI. Well, let's imagine that these invoices are over there. So invoices look like this. So again, very simple workflow here for invoices. Let's do this. Hold, please. And we're going to go to Alpha Logistics demo here. we're going to go to we're going to submit. All right, so we're going to submit an invoice to the to this project. So let's go to we're going to submit an invoice. We're going to go here. We're going to drag and drop this invoice. So I'm going to share this tab instead. So all right, you should be seeing this. So I've dragged and dropped an invoice in here. And I'm going to hit next. So I'm now in the vendor experience. So the vendor is going to go into their app, submit an invoice. They've just selected the project that they want to submit to, so they know exactly where they're submitting. So once they've done this, our AI is going to pull off the amount here, $445, invoice number. Obviously, we want to get the dates right here. And so we're going to go in and edit these, make sure our dates are submitted correctly. There we go for dates for the service. Okay. And then you can see here a few different kind of in-scope services. So this is, particular stuff that they're allowed to submit for, in this case, fluid hauling. And then I'm going to go ahead and submit that invoice. All right. So now once I've submitted that invoice, an invoice should appear over here. So now I can see I've got invoices over here, particular invoice type. And so this one's been paid. Obviously, it's been approved and paid, but you can see I've got an invoice, kind of all the documentation here. But it makes it very easy for vendors to submit invoices to the platform and for us to approve those. So overall, the goal is to create this like cohesive, track every dollar from the budget all the way through to invoices getting submitted and approved. You can use this to manage any kind of project that any kind of capital project, right? So you can throw midstream, upstream, facilities projects, whatever the case might be. You can do anything in here. It's just really a question of setting it up so that you've got a budget and able to receive, and then line items that are able to receive invoices from those vendors. I'll just mention and real briefly here, we've got some great reporting functionality. So this lets you track, who am I spending money with? Where's that money going? How do I allocate this money maybe more effectively? Things like, hey, we've got 4 different water haulers here that are all running roughly the same routes. Like, why don't we try to consolidate that into 1 or 2 and get some price savings? So really gives you guys transparency for stuff that's a lot of times probably out of your view, and stuff that you're not really paying attention to, that makes it really easy for you guys to be more efficient in how you're executing your projects. So with that, I will call it good. Thank you for your time.